Hello folks, welcome back to this video. In this video I want to talk about blinkers. The blinkers are one of the function modules in my design, and it can be used to create blinking signals. During the video I will bring this camera closer to the car, so you won't see me, you only will see what's happening on the car, and once again I'm going to record my configurations I'm doing on the transmitter to achieve the blinking effect. And there are two things I want to show you what this blinker module is capable of. I'm going to show it on two scenarios. One scenario you're seeing right now is that it's simply doing the one blinking with both indicators are active, and it is also possible to configure it in a way that you can use the steering to control that. And I will also use a few other modules, but I'm not going into the details of them. It's focused on the blinker modules. And yeah, I'm going to bring the camera a little closer that you see the car more in detail, that you see what's going on, and you will see the configurations I'm doing on the camera. Okay, see you in a few seconds. Okay, now we are back in the game and you'll see the car in a close-up, and currently it's doing nothing. As for taking information, this model is from Revell. It's a Lamborghini model, and it originally came with a simple click-clack toy grade transmitter, and I took all the electronics inside out and I placed one of these ones in, one of these blue pills, of course not a PCB in a size like this. You can see this is way too big. I just used the blue pill, and even that I had to shrink down a bit. So that's what's working inside of this car. Currently you can see there's no action going on because I have only configured the transmitter for a very basic setup. I think the steering is already working, as you can see, and I can switch the main lights on and off, but for the blinkers there's nothing going to happen. Before I'm going into the details of configuring the blinker functions, I want to show you a picture to explain how the blinker works. So I'm going to slide over to a picture of that. What you can see here is I'm going to repeat it. Maybe some of you have seen an earlier video where I already explained a little bit. A composition is something where you can put in other compositions and function modules. And the way it works, it's simply working from top to bottom, and each module in the way gets processed. So what you see here is a previous module which is optional, it's not necessarily needed. So the main part is the blinker module in the middle. As you can see, a value is getting passed from the top into the blinker module, and the blinker has some, I call it do some blinker stuff, and the output from this blinker stuff is added to the incoming value, and the combination of both is going out at the bottom, so which you see as the orange arrow. This is one of the very basic ideas, that the incoming value from the top is never a trigger for something, it's just a signal which is getting processed in the next module. Okay, so what I was thinking about during the conceptual part of the blinker is, how do I trigger the blinker? And the first thing you have an idea of, for example, when you considering that you have like this blue police car light on the roof of a car, and you want to flash it, you're probably thinking of, okay, I'm just going to use one of my switches, and I assign a switch as the trigger to the blinker. When I flip the switch, the blinker becomes active and everyone is happy. I was thinking about this for a while, how to trigger the blinker, and then I decided to go another way. There are two ideas how you come to the conclusion that another approach might be better. I'm starting with an abstract idea, and then I'm coming to the concrete idea. The abstract part is I try to follow a principle where everything is not implemented in a very specific way. I try to shrink down everything to a very specific purpose with as less specification as possible. And when I'm coming to the idea, okay, I use one of these switches here to trigger the blinker, that is already a specification how to trigger it. And maybe this is going to be a limiter in ideas I'm going to have. So this is the abstract idea. And the concrete idea is very simple. That's more grabbable. So when you want to drive around corners, you can think of, okay, most probably going to hit the indicator where you want to go a certain moment before you're actually cornering. And maybe it would be handy if you could control the blinkers by using the direction stick. That would be pretty nice when you want to steer to the right, that the right blinker gets activated. And so this is the concrete idea why simple assigning a switch to a blinker would be maybe too specific, because every time you want to corner you would have to flip one of the switches and you have to flip it back, and it's always an extra action you have to perform on your transmitter, and maybe you don't want that. It's more comfortable if the indicators go on just by using the stick. And that's why you can see in the red area the concept of the blinker is that the trigger is done by another composition. I've called it here in the picture, it's a trigger composition, but that's only a naming in this picture. It's a composition like everything else. That means you can place in other compositions in this trigger composition, you can place any module available in the transmitter I have implemented until now. And this will help us to do two things. I'm going to set up the one blinker you have seen in the intro, and I want to set up a structure which allows it to control the indicators when you're actually steering. That means when I'm steering a little to the right blinker gets activated, and when I'm steering to the left blinker gets activated. So that's what I want to do. And now I'm going back and to the transmitter overview, and I'm showing you how to do this configuration. What is good to know is the program running on the blue pill in this model it has the blinkers on channel 4 and channel 5. So that's why I'm going into channel 4 and channel 5, and I'm also going into the channel which is controlling the steering. Okay, first of all, I'm going to create the first blinker, let's say the right blinker, which is this one. I think it is channel 4. Okay, to channel 4, I have to add one slot. Now this time I'm not going to name the compositions to spare some time. Okay, and here I'm going to add a module, and I'm scrolling all the way down to the blinker. And I'm entering into the blinker, and I'm adding 3 positions. You might be wondering why I'm using 3 positions instead of 2, because we just want to turn the light on and off. The reason is position 0 in the blinker is the default position. So when the trigger is inactive, the blinker uses the default position. And of course, for an indicator light, the default position will be in a way that the light is off. And the light is off is going to be minus 100%. So I'm going to set that. A little more, maybe, yeah, that's fine. And I'm giving it a duration of 1. Okay, sorry, I skipped that. Okay, I obviously started with the left blinker, not so bad. Also there are 3 columns. One is the position, one is the duration. There can be set how long each of these positions is going to last, and the value from each position. So that means you can choose, as you can see when I'm turning this knob here. I'm on the wrong side. I'm just changing the duration. I'm going back to 1. 1 is enough. So when I'm turning this knob, you can see how the left light is fading in and out. I don't know if it's after the video conversion, if it's the right or the left. So when you think in the way, the direction the car drives, it's the left blinker. So I'm going to set this off for now. Position 1 is I'm going to choose a duration of 20. And here I'm going to set plus 100, which is the positive maximum. And here I'm going to put 19, so together with the 1 it becomes also 20. Well, this is also, it just has to be a little less than 100, minus 100. And the reason why I'm splitting the two negative maximum parts is when the trigger is activated and the blinker skips from the default position to the active position, also to the first position, which is maximum positive. If I would configure the default position also with a duration of 20, it would take a while until the blinker visually activates, and that will disturb you during the usage of this. So that's why I made the default very short, that it skipped very fast, and the active part is coming very soon, and the off phase is coming in the end. It just gives a better user experience doing it that way. So now we're coming, as you can see currently, no matter which switch I'm using. Okay, here I have the headlights on this switch. No matter, as I want to put the blinker on this switch and on this stick, so no matter what I do currently, the blinker is not activating. And in the first step, I'm going to I make this switch going to be used as the indicator. So I'm going to add this trigger composition. I'm entering into the trigger composition, and I'm adding a module. And here I'm choosing the stick, which is number 3. Yes. And as you can see, if I'm moving the stick far enough, the blinker gets activated. The point is the trigger limit in the blinker is 50%. It was a random number I had in mind during programming it, and maybe I changed it, I don't know. It's not that important. The point is now, the next thing is, of course, when you're using it as an indicator, you want the blinker to become active before the servo starts to maneuver the steering wheels. So that means we are going to need another module. But what we have already set up the trigger for the left indicator light. Okay, currently, as you can see, when I'm moving it to the right, the left blinker gets activated. That's not the way it's supposed to be. That means I'm going to add one of the scale switches. I give it only the default position. I'm going to invert the direction. One side I can leave with 0, and the other one is going to be negative. So now you can see I've corrected that. When I'm moving the stick to the left stick gets activated. Okay, that's good enough for now. And now the next thing is, of course, I want to have the blinker to be activated before, as way earlier than half the way of the stick. That's way too late. I want it to be almost immediately. So the next, I want to have it almost immediately. That's the keyword. I don't want it to be straight away. That means even if I'm not moving the sticks internally, the values change just a little bit, and that would lead that you get a flicker. So we need something which is I have a dead band module. So I'm going to add another module, which is the dead area. And here you can set the null point and the span. The null point means, for example, for what reason ever you want to have the virtual null point somewhere there of the signal, I don't know. But I'm not using that, I'm only to set the span for, let's say, I think 5% will do the job. So currently you don't see the effect. So the next thing is, now comes the interesting part of, as I said, I want to have the blinker to get activated almost immediately. So I'm going to add another module, and this module is going to be, it's called a quantizer. I hope it's translated correctly, quantizes the incoming value, and you can set watermarks, and if they are reached, the quantizer gives out assignable values, and that's what we are going to do. I'm going to add 2 levels, and the first level I simply leave at 0, and the second I'm going to set to let's say, I don't know, I'm keeping just a random number. Let's say we keep it at maybe at 5. I'm going to set it to 5. And I wanted to output, this is becoming the value which is going to trigger the blinker. That means here I'm going to set, when it's becoming active, I'm going to set this for 50%. And if I'm going to move the stick, you can see now it's reacting way more early. Almost immediately. Now the blinker gets activated almost immediately along with the wheels. But that's already too late. Of course you want to activate the blinker earlier than the wheels. So the idea is we're going to assign this dead end, also this dead area, also to the controls of the steering. So I'm going to the channel where the steering servo is, which is channel 2. So in here I'm going to add also, let me search it, the dead area. So I'm going to the dead span, and here we say I'm going to take a ridiculously high value for now. Let's say 70% maybe. So you can see now I'm moving the stick and the steering servo is doing nothing, but now it comes. So that means when I'm gently moving the stick, the indicator light is already going to be activated while the steering servo does nothing. So this perfectly matches the idea that you see a corner where you want to drive around and you move the stick gently just a little bit so the blinker gets activated. And once you reach the corner, you move it more and the wheels are following. So I'm going to set this now to a more sensible value. I have to try it out what is sensible in this, at this point. Let's use 10, that's too little, 20, that's better. So you can see now the blinker goes and now the wheel goes. Perfectly fine. Okay, I'm going to do this also for the right indicator light, and I'm probably putting the video on fast forward in the editor later, because this is the same procedure as for the left indicator. Okay, now I have done that. And as you can see now, when I'm moving the stick to the right, just gently, only a little bit, the right blinker gets activated, and when I'm moving it to the left blinker gets activated. How big you choose the deadband on the steering servo is up to your choice. I think for me this would already be too sensitive, but that can configure everyone to the needs. Okay, now we have the indication blinking, and the next thing is I want also to have the warn blinking. So that means it's very simple. I'm just going to set up a custom switch in the trigger composition. So currently we're in the right, in the trigger composition for the right blinker, and I'm going to add a scale switch. No, that was wrong. I have to delete this one. I hope that works, yes. And now, custom switch, that's the one we want. Custom switch, and I'm adding 2 positions. I'm leaving this on default. This one is going to be switch number 1, and I'm going to set this to any value about 50%. So I flip the switch. First indicator light goes, and now I'm going to the left one. I'm entering the trigger and adding a custom switch, and go to the custom switch, and again adding 2 positions, this one and this to 50%, something about 50, it doesn't matter. And here we have the warning light. So switch off, here goes the indication light, and switch on, we have the warning light. So much for the magic. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe I'm going to do, I hope I find the time to do some more videos on the other modules, and this is one of the modules I like most because this is more moving into the fancy function area, which was one of my motivations to do all the effort to do this DY transmitter. Okay, so thank you for being here, and see you in the next video. Bye!